Whoops. Hello. Whoops. I didn't get my intro on fast enough, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How's everybody doing? Goodness gracious. Hey, Millie. Hey, not crazy by crazy lady. Hello. Good to see y'all again. Whoops. I thought I was going to go early and put on my intro and all the things, and I was taking a sip of my coffee at the same time. It's one of those nights. So what are y'all doing? What is everybody doing? Are y'all even here, or did you decide to come back, or what's going on? Am I talking to myself? Hey, D Lucky. I think I did it like 5 minutes early, D Lucky, and there's Millie. And then I hit a wrong button and didn't do my intro. Lord have mercy. Hey, Ginger Snap. Hello. Welcome, everybody coming in. My mind was over here and I was drinking my little coffee. Hey, Lolly, beautiful. Hello, Julie. Everybody coming in. Good to see everybody. We're going to talk about something a little bit different I come across tonight. Well, I didn't come across it tonight, but something a little interesting. We may be here a while. There's a lot to unpack in this. So I hope y'all have nothing to do. Hey, Patty Ann. Hello, Michelle. Hello, everybody coming in. One love. Hello. Good to see everybody. So have any of you ever heard of Lacy Spears? This was really, I thought it was a story worth doing. Talks about Munchausen syndrome and all that. So if you're interested, hey Daniel Berry, if you're interested, I think it's something to really get into and pay close attention to. It is a case from, I think, 2015, but it is a good one, in my opinion. Hey, Julie, everybody coming in, welcome. And I couldn't get, my file was too big, so I didn't have time to, but I wanted to show you this video of this child, and hold on, before it starts, wait a minute. Look at that baby. Well, look. Just look at that. And that was in the hospital. Let's do it again. That's the mom. That's when she got arrested. That's when she was in court. Uh-oh, stop. Cancel. I'm trying to learn how to do these videos. Stop. I don't want to do all that. But the little boy, he looks so healthy. Sounds familiar. Hey, Miss Ann. I hope you're feeling better tonight. Well, we're going to watch some video on it, but I did want to tell you a little bit about the case, because it was like, oh my gosh. But Lacy Spears, she was later on down the road after all this happened, was diagnosed with Munchausen syndrome by proxy. This lady, she was 27 years old, and she was born in Decatur, Alabama. And I've been wanting to talk a while about Munchausen, because a lot of people don't understand that, and it goes ignored a lot of times. And the flags, they're there, but doctors really want to be certain before they go accusing. Hey, Selena. And it's really, it's the worst type of abuse, really, really. And it's very painful to the patient. Hey, hindsight's 2020. You know this one? Yeah, this was, boy, this really caught my interest. I was like, wow, we're going to watch some videos on it. Oh, Miss Ann, I'm sorry. Prayers for you. Miss Ann said she's going in the hospital tomorrow, so she'll be missing a little bit. Well, we certainly say prayers for you, Miss Ann. I certainly hope everything goes okay for you, honey. I'll certainly be thinking about you. Definitely prayers, definitely prayers. Sad. Hey, Judy, you're more than welcome. But Lacy, this Lacy Spears case, this is the perfect case to talk about this, because later on, eventually they found out, even though it was pretty obvious that that's what she had. Of course, she was diagnosed with it after she tortured her son, Garnett. And the sad case may be triggered by some. It's not as hard. I mean, as far as triggering, I think you can deal with it. It's sad to know that anybody would do this to any of their children, but it's not like gory. It's heartbreaking, horrific, horrifying. There are no words for this. None. So some may be triggered by it. He was a beautiful little boy, and when he wasn't being tortured and abused, he didn't know the difference. He loved his mother, and his smile would light up any room. And he was kept clean. This is what I hate about these cases too, right here, is because a lot of times people think, oh, they're taking such good care of their kids. They're this, they're that. There was one right down here, 3 miles from where I'm at, like that. It's gut-wrenching. They're in jail now. Been in jail last couple of years, actually. But they were on here. You know what they were doing? Not on YouTube. I don't think they were on YouTube. They weren't on YouTube. But they were on social media. They were collecting all the money for the Christmas kids, and oh man, they were doing all the things. All the things. Yeah. Yeah. But Lacy, she was a single mother, and she was lonely, and she was very desperate for attention. That's part of this Munchausen. You want attention. You're very lonely. Lacy constantly posted on social media about her son's health issues and his struggles, and she even went as far as to start a blog. Thank you, Nice Marie. She said she wanted to find a cure for him and cure all things. She told all of her friends she wanted to leave Alabama, and at one point she actually did. She left Alabama, and Lacy moved Garnett to Florida, and she lived a little bit with her grandmother, her maternal grandmother, named Peggy. I don't know what happened there. Maybe her grandmother had her number. I don't know. I couldn't say. But it didn't last long. You would think she really wanted to help, you know, but that's not how this really works, you know. She took him to doctor after doctor from the time he was born. Miss Ann, I did get your email, and if you're talking about the one, I sent it to Roxy. Is that the one? You got it right. I sent it. I sent it. I am not sure what happened in Florida. If anything happened, and something may not have happened with our grandmother. She may have just felt to move on, because that's the way you do. If doctors start to, it's kind of like drugs. You sell drugs, or you get hot, or you think the police is on you, you move, you leave, right? So maybe that's all that happened in Florida. She got hot. The doctors got on her. There's no dummies down here. That's the fact. And then she went to Chestnut Ridge in New York 14 months prior to his death. In New York, Lacy and Garnet lived in a community called the Fellowship for the Elderly and Disabled. That might have been the first sign. Just saying. But that part reminded me a little bit of Casey Anthony, only because she talks about when she gets there, she talks about her son's father, and she said that her son's father, she created this fictional character. She said the police he's a police officer or ex-police officer. Oh, thank you, September Virgo. Much love and respect to you, honey. Love you. Love you. She said that her baby's daddy, his name was Blake, and he died in a car accident, and he was an ex-police officer. That's what she told everybody. This girl was milking it for everything it was worth. Everything. And everyone had their blinders on. Now, there was a few that started to get suspicious. A few did get suspicious. But that part did remind me of Casey Anthony. I had to just shake my head. I said, you got to be kidding me. Just when I think much don't surprise me, something does surprise me. It really does. But she made this entire story up in her head. And she lied to the real father, the real biological father. His name is Chris Hill. Don't bother looking him up. There's about 1,500,000 million Chris Hills. Okay. But she told Chris Hill that Garrett was not his son, and she threatened him, and she told him to keep his distance from her. And that was long before all this. She would have no part of him, and the baby was not his. And that's what happened there. That was my understanding. There's an actual movie out about this. Of course, Wah has not got to watch the movie yet. But the movie is called, I got it just for y'all, the movie's called My Sweet Angel, the true story of Lacy Spears, the seemingly perfect mother who murdered her son in cold blood. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know where to find it. I didn't have all the time in the world today. But it's called, again, My Sweet Angel, the true story of Lacy Spears, the seemingly perfect mother who murdered her son in cold blood. So I'm sure it's out there somewhere. You can find it. You can find it just as good as I can. So the 5 years he lived was not long. It was not long at all. Garnet Spears would end up in the hospital many more times. When he got sick, it started out, with his ears. He had ear infections, and that's normal for babies and little kids. They get high fevers. That just happens. That's normal. But I guess when that happened with him, she just saw she was getting so much attention and everything that she, she liked the attention. Again, she was this lonely person. It was her and her son. She liked the attention. So it started out that fevers, seizures, digestive problems. Oh God, you're not going to believe what all she did. I can't even believe these doctors went along with it. But again, you'll see. There's doctors that testified that a child fed in an ordinary fashion would spit out salt. Well, this woman, she poisoned her little boy with salt. That's what she poisoned him with. So what she did was she somehow convinced him, after all of these treatments and stuff, he got a feeding tube, okay, which is highly unusual for his age. He got a feeding tube. His mother lied. She schemed, and she said he would not keep nothing down. Hey, Roxy D. And I think Miss Ann's still looking for you. Check your messages. But so he got a feeding tube. This feeding tube stayed in him the rest of his little natural born life. He was 5. He was 5. But it was because his mother convinced the doctors that nothing would stay down. Hey, Jamie Lynn. And he couldn't keep food down. He couldn't keep liquid down. He couldn't keep this down and that down. And that's why the doctors did the surgery and did the feeding tube and all the things. Now, at one point, she said he kept, I don't know how other to say it, just vomiting, and nothing would stop it. They didn't know what was wrong. Hey, Jam, and everybody coming in. Good to see everybody. So they ended up doing another surgery. I couldn't believe this. I could not even fathom this. If somebody told me if they had to do this, if a doctor come tell me they had to do this, I would do everything I could to prevent this. This is the opposite. Okay? But anyway, somehow or another, as you'll see as we go along, he had to have another surgery. He didn't have to, but because of this mother and all her crap, yeah, poor little fellow, they closed up whatever they do inside of there, wherever, where he's never allowed to. He can't puke it up anymore. Hey, Diane. That was horrifying, especially on the end when Ellie had to sit there and watch them videos and watch him suffer and pass away. Can you imagine? Sometimes you have to do that just to feel better. Sometimes you have to do that and you're gagging and you can't. Can you imagine what pure heck that was on that child? How do people, even monsters, think about things like this? I don't know. They say in one point in 2008 that she was diagnosed with bipolar and she was prescribed lithium. But don't even talk to me about that. We've been talking about mental health and everything else. That's no excuse for what this lady did. And there's a couple of types. Millie can tell you in here without me going into it. Different types of Munchausen by proxy and Munchausen. And one is when you do it to yourself. One's when you do it to the other person, mostly your child. And who knows? Maybe she was going to start with herself first. Maybe she wasn't even bipolar. Who knows with this lady? I have no idea. Roxy, I sent it to you on Messenger and it had her phone number in it. Facebook Messenger. Check your Facebook Messenger, read it, and look at the phone number, honey. But there's no excuse for this. Now, Mark Fieldman, he is an Alabama psychiatrist, and he does Munchausen syndrome. He's an expert in that, and it's unclear why Garnet Spears had surgery as a baby to implant a gastric tube, feeding tube, and he was still on it when he died in January at 5 years old. Also, feeding tubes are usually for older people, for sick people, people with cancer. My mom had one, but she didn't have to stay on it. You don't always have to stay on them. His mother, Lacy, told friends the child had a failure to thrive. She was always lying about that baby. Always. She liked it that way. And to be real, she kept it that way. If you want to be real about it. This was his own mother, unbeknownst to him. Yes, some people have a feeding tube, but they don't keep it in for a long time. It's not normal. He had it from a baby because of her lies to the end of his life when he was 5. She wouldn't let him thrive. And you'll hear when he did go out around people, he did eat. He was able to eat. He was able to eat. Yeah. This lady was later diagnosed with Munchausen by proxy. Beautiful, handsome little boy. Clean. You would never think anything. You would just think, hey, she's taking care of her kid, whatever. That's all you would think. That's all I would think. Oh my God, the baby's sick. She took him to the doctor again. Wonder what's wrong with him now. That would usually never cross somebody's mind. And that's something there. It's real hard. You have the red flags, but you better be able to prove it. Well, anyway, she liked it that way. And that's what the people with Munchausen, they thrive on that. They thrive on it themselves. But a feeding tube is rare, and it's temporary for treatment with patients with specific conditions, specific medical conditions, and that's what the experts said. And it's a last step in a process. Once a gastric tube is placed, the parent is taught to change the tubing, usually once every 3 months or so, and to use a syringe to push the nutrients and formula and all that through the tube to the child's stomach. It's not very hard to do. The tubing and other supplies require, of course, a prescription. And in the year that she lived in Rockland, the feeding tubes are most likely recommended. She did that while she was there, but the feeding tubes are most likely commonly recommended for children with serious illnesses. Soon after being diagnosed from birth, in which the body can't properly absorb nutrients, or swallowing or something like that, then little children do get the feeding tubes, but it has to include something major. Yes, Sarah, we lived in a whacked world. To say the very least, we live in a whacked world. But even that is a temporary treatment. There was zero evidence this child, that this child ever had any of those problems. Look also at his photos. And if you pull that name up, you'll see many, many, many beautiful photos. Clean. Even in his hospital, she had him tons of toys and stuffed animals and all kinds of stuff in his bed. She just wanted to look like the Miss Mom of the universe, He looked like he had everything he needed. But he didn't have a mom that gave him the real love and attention that he needed. She was giving herself the sympathy, the attention, and what she called love from everybody else, because her son was sick and her son was suffering at her hands, and nobody realized it. Again, in the hospital, she was getting all the attention. When a friend found out from wherever, I don't know if he was in Alabama or where, but whenever they told Chris Hill, the biological father, that Garnet was dying, he reached out to Lacy the only way he knew how. He searched her on Facebook and he sent her a friend's request. And in a strange way, that's a very strange and weird way for a father to find out about his son. Don't you think? She denied him everything in his son's life. Everything. That was a red flag. I mean, everything she did with this baby was a red flag. Perfect? I mean, perfect is not good either. People think because everybody looks like they have a perfect life, that's good, and their kids are good. And that's not always the case. Yes, this part really baffles me, but it's that's part of where the Munchausen comes in. And again, I don't know if you were in here earlier, but they keep taking them back and keep taking them back. And when you tell somebody something so long, like I could go to the same doctor for 5 years, but if I go to a doctor for a year and I say, listen, I can't, they're not even going to let it go that long. If I go for 3 months and I can't keep nothing down, and she's giving him this salt, and she's doing whatever she can to make him lose weight or whatever, and you're telling the doctor, I can't, he won't keep nothing down, and he is vomiting, blah, 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 blah. And you go to the doctor, and then the doctor gets them well, because the doctors do get them fairly well, even if they don't put them in the hospital. So they send them home, and then the mother needs that attention, and she gets them right back. And that some dads, but mostly this falls under the mother category. And then, she gets them sick again. Yeah, after several visits. Yeah, over and over and over and over again. Because it's always with these people that have that, it's always an illness, something with their child. It's always something. Because they feed off the attention. My child is sick. Okay, here it is. Miss Ann. Miss Ann's going in the hospital tomorrow. Smiley. Oh, well, I'm going in the hospital too. Miss Ann. Well, I'm having this done. Smiley. Well, I'm having this done. Miss Ann. I'm doing this. Smiley. No, I'm doing this. I'm going to outbeat you. I'm getting the most sympathy over here. You don't need the sympathy. Let me see what I can do to outdo. It's kind of like that. Something like that. And they do it to their children. They do it to their child because they get all the attention and the love, and they like that. It's all for attention. Exactly, Millie. Millie, I tell you, she's a nurse. It's all for the attention. Nope, it's different than hypochondriacs, but it's kind of the same, but it's totally different. Totally different. They literally will do anything and everything they can. They will give fake, well, it's real medicine, but they will give stuff to their children to make them sick. There's been cases where they've gave them antifreeze. They will give them whatever it takes to get them admitted to a hospital. It's anything and everything they can do. It's not just my child has an earache, my child this today, I'm going to give them the medicine. They may get the medicine. They're not going to give them that medicine. They're going to withhold it so they can, yeah. Oh, no, not you, One Love. Not you. Somebody else said something about the hypochondriac, not you. But yeah, so that part. Oh, Gypsy Rose. Yes, Gypsy Rose, Lolly. I forgot about that. Gypsy Rose. Absolutely her mother. Yes, and I think I have that in here somewhere too. Thank you very much for reminding me about that. Absolutely. One of those. But now they can't ever ask her mother because her mother's dead, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. But when the father found out, he found out from a friend and tried to get a hold of her Facebook. Now, I don't know if he did and what was said or any of that. I don't know. I know that the child eventually died, so eventually he had to know. Did she ever tell him it was his kid? I don't know. But some people in Lucy Spears' life described her as this. They said she was a caring, nurturing mother. But others saw darker sides of her. They saw signs and surgeries and IVs and feeding tubes and all this really unnecessary stuff. They started to question, was it necessary? She had IV tubes and all this kind of stuff at home. She got everything she needed and wanted and asked for, all this medical stuff. It was horrible. But Lacy denied, and she still denies, that she was doing anything to harm her son. That should have been a red flag, though. Again, perfect is not good either, especially with a single parent. Stop always thinking it is perfect, people, because it's not. People are human, and sometimes they judge. I've judged, you've judged, everybody's judged. But calm down, and think about it. Just think about it. Start calling out the right people. Start doing that. Those you think that would never do this, they do this. They do this. And that's the facts. That's absolutely the facts. And these kids are not safe even in their own homes. Florida didn't work out too good for her, so she went elsewhere. She went elsewhere. She went to New York. Everything seemed normal pretty much. Almost 2 days after being admitted, he took a turn for the worst. He took a turn for the worst. Tests later show that his sodium levels, which were normal when he got there at 138, when he was admitted, they were normal. Okay? So she was doing this in the hospital. Okay? People, that's how brave these parents are. This is how desperate. Absolutely, Lolly. Thank you. That's the word I needed. That's how desperate these people are. They'll do it in the hospitals, especially if they think they're fixing to be discharged or something like that, or they're not getting enough attention. They bring on the attention. She had her syringes. She had all of her stuff at home. All of that. So normal was 138 when he was admitted, but while he was in the hospital, it rose to 182. Now, this is from the video also of the EEG footage before Garnett's condition changed. His own mother was poisoning him right there in his hospital room. Are y'all hearing me? That girl, you'll see, was sitting there on the other side, just sitting there watching him, watching time pass, like it's been 2 minutes yet. I mean, she got what she got, okay? That's my opinion. But Brittany's life, just to look at her, seems so normal. I did say seem. See, people need to stop judging people by the way they look. I'm just saying. Decatur, Alabama, Lacy Spears' hometown again, was the place she first showed interest in any children. She worked as a babysitter. God, that's a scary thought. Later at that daycare, she told somebody, I think it was 48 hours, she said, I love children. Oh, that's who it was. Troy Roberts in her first interview. She told him, she said, I love children. Children is our future. She said, they should be cared for and loved. That was her words. That would be scary to know that she was ever around my children or my grandchildren. I don't know about y'all. But some people have no rights to ever be around a child, an animal, or anything else, in my opinion. This girl is one of them. She is one. But that was scary. She had a lady that knew her. I won't even call her a friend. Her name was Shauna Lynch. She met Lacy about 8 years prior at the daycare center where Lacy took care of her son. I think it was about 8 years before it happened. Shauna said, her quote, when I first met Lacy, she was very shy, but was real good with kids. She volunteered to take my kids if I needed to go to work and didn't. She'd want to take them to daycare. I didn't have to do anything. She loved my kids. And my kids adored her. I mean, does that sound familiar to anybody? I ain't saying a case. I'm saying in your regular life. She said, but after a few years, Lynch just thought Spears was getting overly involved in her family's life. So, because she was getting a little bit concerned about how overly involved she was getting, Shauna stopped spending as much time with her as she could because she got real clingy. That's what that lady said. And it seemed like she never wanted to be by herself. She always wanted to have a kid there. Somebody's kid. That's what this lady said. She always wanted to have somebody's kid there. I'm telling you, this was a very lonely, scary lady. If the child's sick, Judy, yeah, because that puts them at the disabled stage, right? It depends on what kind of disability they could prove he had. Maybe, maybe not. But she was probably doing it for money, absolutely. Oh, she probably was. But Munchausen, yeah, they don't care about the money. They just do it for the attention. It's not about the money. But I'm just saying, like, if Judy's asking me, can she get money too? It would depend on what disability he had. Not every disability qualifies for money. Where was her mom? Her mom, I don't know, but her grandma was in Florida. That's who she went to stay with. I didn't see anything about her mom, but again, I did this the best I could, the quickest I could, trying not to make any mistakes. It's deep. Maybe we'll hear it in the video. It's deep. The baby's grandparent. Yeah, I don't know, Michelle. Now, again, on Chris's side, the father, you got to remember the bio father didn't even know. She didn't tell him. And she made up a story, just like that's what I said, reminded me about Casey Anthony, because she told everybody when she got to New York, my baby's daddy was an ex-police officer, which was not true, and he died. So that was that part. But after a few years of her becoming overly clingy and all that stuff, this lady got away from her. So Lacy then got close to other kids, and she started to tell people those other kids was her kids. The news person asked her that, and she said, I never told anybody those were my children. Garnet is my only child. And then I don't know if she blamed Chris for not wanting to have any kids or not, but that's just what I read. So Lacy made up the story, and she raised him herself, but she did it the improper, harmful, abusive, painful, neglectful way till he ended up just dead. Just dead. He was in and out of the hospital for the first 9 weeks of his life. It was after that a neighbor said Garnet had several ear infections, is what they noticed. And the biggest problem is they couldn't get him to eat. And he would throw up, and he was losing weight. Doctors diagnosed him with failure to thrive, but could not figure out why he could not hold food down. Well, he couldn't hold food down because his mother kept giving him and injecting him with salt. That's why he couldn't keep his food down. She kept doing things to make her child sick. So at 9 weeks old, he had stomach surgery, y'all, at 9 weeks old. And then a neighbor's telling this. That was to keep him from being able to throw up anymore. Can you imagine that? Would you put your child through that, even if they come in and said, this needs to be done, he can't stop throwing up? I'd say, well, you're going to have to give it a whole hell of a lot more time, because we ain't doing no such thing until that's the end of the road. This baby was 9 weeks old, and she kept on and on and on and on and on and on and on until the doctor thought they didn't know. They thought he really wasn't keeping food down. They didn't know they had a mother injecting him with salt and doing other abusive things to make him not keep his food down. He was a baby. They would, take care of him. They did the surgery. They sent him home. And then he didn't eat. He would take a bottle, nothing. Then a week later, he was admitted to the hospital again with severe dehydration. That's coming from his own mother. Hey, Army vet, good to see you. You are out of class. Good, good, good. You listening? Yeah, this is a sad one right here. And then he was out, he had dehydration real bad. And then they would put him sometimes back in the hospital or just give him IVs and send him home. Again, they were sending him home to the mom that was doing this to him, which is really sad. Doctors were able at a point to bring his level down, but they never understood how it got so high or how it would keep getting so high. And again, they brought him home from the hospital. He spent more time in the hospital than he ever spent at home. And it was bad. And this went on for 9 months back and forth. At 9 months, at 9 months old is when he had to have his feeding tube. 9 months old, had to have your feeding tube. That's bad. It's sad. You know? And that's where all your nutrients go through is your feeding tube and everything. And, you know, they insert the feeding tube. There's an opening in the stomach. It's either through hanging a bag, you know, on a bottle with food in it. That's what this poor baby lived through. They asked her, the newscaster asked her, what did the doctor say about his prognosis? She said, they were hopeful within time. He wouldn't have so much problems eating, she replied. They were hopeful. I bet they was. However, she said, he continued to be plagued by feeding issues. In 2010, they moved from Alabama to Florida, which we know that, to be near her grandmother. While there, she babysat, she cleaned houses, she received public assistance. She would occasionally go back to Alabama to visit. The day her family come to visit the baby, they said he was just bouncing. He was a 2-year-old kid. He was running around. The one person said, I didn't even know he was sick. He just had lunch. He ate like a normal 2-year-old. He ate pizza and drinks. That's what the family member said. But he would say, my stomach hurts. I don't want to eat. That's what his mother said. He would go for extended periods of time where he just simply would not take anything by mouth at all. They just got used to seeing and having his feeding tube. When he was nourished, that's what he had. Sometimes he would eat and sometimes he wouldn't. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. I bet that's one of his mom's times she did when they gave her that guilty sentence, 27 years old. They asked Lucy how hard it was taking care of a child with the medical problems. I kind of asked that one time. Anyway, she just said sometimes it can be challenging. Well, at least she was honest about it. I don't think it was a burden to anyone else, but at least she was honest about it. Anyway, it was about getting to where he would go to school, she said, and everyone, it was about getting time for him to go to school. So everyone thought she was a good mother. That's what they thought. But because he was getting ready to go to school, it just got worse, because I don't think she ever wanted him going to school. She even looked at alternative schools. Hey, is it summer yet? Thank you for joining. What's this case about? It's about a mother. Her name is Lacy Spears, and she had Munchausen by proxy, which they didn't know till later. And basically, she took her son's life that way. But she did look into that, and a doctor tried to get her to remove the feeding tube at that point. He tried to, so he could eat healthy and be healthy. And guess what? She did not want to. She didn't want to do that. She wasn't going for that. So the doctor was suspicious, but he was not certain, he said. And I think that's what he told in court. He was not certain. And so the doctor, and I can be mad at the doctor for this, but again, this is so underdiagnosed, so missed, so confused with hypochondriac, so confused with a lot of things. I'm not sure you can blame him. This is not something doctors even see every day. But he said he was suspicious, but he was not certain. And so he said, he admitted he did not share his concerns with the police, at least not then. He said he didn't know for sure. And now, or at that time, then he started to know for sure, and he had reasonable suspicion, and he thought she had Munchausen syndrome. The motives are varied, but what we can assume the motives is to gain attention. That's the number one. And to have drama in one's life, excitement. That's what the doctors say. The professionals. He did after he was suspicious, but prior times, he just didn't know. He should have, yeah. He just didn't feel like he said he had enough information to accuse her of that illness. That's very serious. Rather than just saying, somebody's a hypochondriac. Somebody's got Munchausen syndrome. You almost really got to be sure, because if you're not, that could be a problem. Because again, that includes abuse. It includes very possibly, especially in this case it did, but very possibly death, suffering. Yeah, it is let's see. Prosecutors' key pieces of evidence was a video surveillance tape showing Spears repeatedly bringing her son into the bathroom. Continued. Yes, and I have that. Yep. And that man said, he's like, we had to watch this. So we had to watch that. Let me go ahead. Actually, let's watch some of this now. Hold on. Share. Let's see. Oh, did I not start it? Oh, there we go. Wait, hold on.
Is she a liar?
Inside the case of Lacy Spears.
Look how handsome
Something was poisoned. The baby's father, Blake.
Is it still not showing? Is it still not showing? Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Okay, what about now? Hold on. What about now? What is it doing? Give me a 1 if y'all can see me now. What about, can y'all see me or hear me? Okay, I'm back. Okay. All right. So I don't know, man, what happened. It may not let me play it. Let me play this. Let me just, it was almost at the end anyway. What do you think? I should try to play it again, or do you think it was because of that? You see me? Okay. I don't know. I don't know if it was because of that or not, but we can play the part where she was yeah, I'm not sure. So let's, okay, because it was almost at the end. It was just going to show at the hospital. Well, hell, if I'm in trouble, let's just show it anyway. Hold on a minute. We're going to show it anyway. Let's see.
And
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Hold on. I can't. I can't with that music. Okay. I don't know. It may be because of that. It may not be. I don't think it's going to let me do it. I just don't think it's going to let me do it. I don't know. I don't know. Can you see me? Don't play it anymore. Okay, yeah, we won't play it anymore. I won't play it anymore. Because that's just crazy. I mean, if you ask me. I'll delete. Yeah, I will. Hold on a minute. Okay, so there it should be there. It's okay. Yeah, I'll delete it. It's fine. Because, yeah, it's okay. I'll delete the videos in it. I'll delete the videos in it because It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Can y'all see me now? Can you see me now? Hello from the other side. Hello from the other side. Army Vet, your trip. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see. Hold on. Let's see. Uh Oh God. Don't tell Smiley you over there singing. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm gonna start. Okay.